So last week we talked about the introduction to programming, where we first did our first sprint. We talked about commenting in a program, talked about variables. We defined variables as containers that stores data in a program, and we talked about variable declaration, and we also talked about different kinds of data types, right? And we talked about some computational part of programming with Python, where we talked about arithmetic operations, assignment operations, logical operations. If you are not in the meeting, I believe the recording should be out, so maybe we can just go through the recording. That should help a lot. We discussed a whole lot of things last week, but this week, we are going to round up the because we don't have time again. After this breakout section, next breakout section, we are done for the year. So we have to plead with the community to at least extend the Python class till next year. Maybe also first January next year, we should still be talking about Python. Because I was discussing with Mr. Emmanuel today and about the capstone project, and now we are going to integrate Python into it because Python should be part of the capstone project. But right now we've not gone anywhere yet in Python programming. We are supposed to at least finish the fundamentals today and dive into um Python for data analysis. I'll just wrap up just few things today so that we'll move quickly into Python for data analysis today, right? Then with that, from next week, you can talk about visualization using Python libraries. And maybe from there, we talked about maybe next week. I don't know how we do it, but we may still feature in statistical analysis. I talk about hypothesis testing, talk about chi-square for probability, talk about various other sorts of statistical analysis. Yeah, for as a data analyst you have to write hypotheses, you have no and we have to talk about those different kinds of hypotheses where we have to reject or accept an hypothesis. So those are the various things we have to talk about. Then we go into the visualization part, then we talk about reporting, right? The the most fundamental part of data analysis. I know the hardest part is data cleaning, but the most important part of data analysis is not the data cleaning, not visualization, not the analysis. Is in the communication. That is the reporting, right? And if you are doing the capstone project for Python data analysis, Python on data camp, one of the skills they are going to one of the skills that they are going to take you on during the capstone project is communication. At the end of the day, once you are done with your program and when you are done with writing your codes, doing your analysis, that will score you on how you communicated that project. It's going to be a life. It's not that on SQ. I'm just preparing your mind on where it's coming. Once you are done with your program, you're reporting and the rest. You're going to do a live video, right? Live recording of yourself talking about talking about your project, the problems you solve, the problems, the solution, and the rest. Talk about how you are not showing anybody any code. You are just talking as if you are talking to a layman, right? Once you are done, you submit both the recording of yourself with your code. So they are not just scoring you because you analyze well. You may fail your project because even though you analyzed well, but you didn't communicate it well. So that's one aspect of programming we'll look into. I just feel believe we may not have the time to complete the whole curriculum this year again. So we just have this week and next week. So just have this week and next week, but next year definitely we'll feature those things in, right? Okay, so let's move in. Um, just give me a second, please. Let me share my screen. Can you confirm if I'm audible enough? If you can hear me clearly, or my background is disturbing? Just confirm if you can hear me clearly. All right, thank you. So let's move ahead. Give me a second. Let me try to share my screen again. I'll still use the workbook we used last week. Right. It's fine. Let's talk about some few stuff today before moving into data analysis. All right. So today we are going to talk about control flow. We're going to talk about control flow. And in data analysis, sorry, in programming, we are still in programming, we are not yet in data analysis. In in programming, there's one part that is very important in any development in any program, and that is answering a conditional question. Let me give you a typical example. Um, are you going to beat when you wake up, or you will brush your teeth first? Like it's a flow, right? Now, when I there's a kind of programming that is linear, right? We have a linear programming that is straightforward. I eat. Once I wake up, I will brush my teeth. I will bathe. That's take my shower. I will take my breakfast, wear my clothes, and go to work or go to school. And there's another part where you say I will eat. Sorry, I will wake up. If there is light, I will warm the water, right? If there's no light, I will lit my gas, right? That's a condition. If this thing happens, I will do this, else I will do this. So that's the bedrock of control flow. So you're trying to answer the question, what if this thing did not happen? So that's one part of program we are going to talk about today. And the first one is going to be the if statement. If statement. So something, let me say, um you told we are not in a console. All right, so this is what you do. Maybe you are looking for a particular age, right, in a school, right? They are doing registration. It says if your age is, if you tell the system, like when you are writing the if statement, tell the system if the person's age, the student's age is 18 and above, admit the person. If the person's age is 18 is 17 and below, don't admit, right? So let's take that now, for instance. Now I'm going to say age, I'm going to declare my age, and my age is 18 years, for instance. Now we can make this program imputable, whereby we tell the user to impute his age. So that one will not control, but we are not into that now. We just say if age is okay, we just say the age. Now that's the variable, we put the value 18 inside. Then I will now write the control flow. Now I will say if this age that we've written, right, is greater, let me say greater than. Now remember what we talked about, this we talked about all this on last week. If is sorry, if age is greater than or equal to 18, right, what should happen? You are going to say, let me make it okay. We are going to print admitted, right? Admitted. Listen. So let me run this code now. Sorry, I made a mistake. It's supposed to be enter run now. All right. So this is the statement. My age is 18, right? Yeah, my age for now is 18, not my real age though. My age is 18, and I told the this is the control flow now. If the age is greater than or equal to 18, the console should print admitted, right? So what now happens if my age is 17? It's going to give, it's not going to show anything, right? What if my age is 100? I'm 100 years old, right? It's still going to show admitted because I said if age is greater than all equal to 18, right? So this is the basic of if statement. It's as simple as this. If something is greater than or equal to this thing, print admitted. So now if it was a password kind of system, right? If it was a password kind of system, what do we do here? Like what if let's do it again now. Let's say if password, right, is equal to um 20, okay, 09 underscore wicked. Maybe now we are working on we are building a software and we are trying to integrate, we are building a software and we are trying to integrate the database. We are trying to indicate the database into the registration form, right? So whenever someone, they ask the person the username and the password of the program. So this is how it works. It takes the username and password and it adds it the to the user's database. So this is what plays at the end whenever you are trying to log into any device. So it has the pass, it has your password already. Maybe this was your password 09 underscore wicked, right? Now I'm going to tell the program. The program already has this code. It says if password, whatever that was, sorry, whatever that was your password is equal to, in security, right? In security, it must be equal to, nothing like greater than, nothing like somehow all, and no. In security, because of security breaches, so it must be equal to, and this is how we write equal to. Remember our last discussion. This one here is assignment, right? But this one is equal to. So this is how we write equal to in Python programming. Whereas this one here is the assignment. So now if password is equal to 18, print login successful. Sorry, now if our password is equal to the same d09 underscore wicked, is print login successful. So what this system is going to do, this place here now, this place here now already holds your password when you are registering into the, maybe the software or the maybe the software, yeah, or the website. It holds your password. So this is your pass. This one is non-changeable. Now it's asking you to input your password now. So once you input your password, it's going to check whether the password you inputted is the same as this one. So if what you inputted is the same as this one, it's going to log you in. So this is actually the use case of if statements. Now let's go into the if else statement, because we are not only going to answer if is not successful. What should we now do again? Because now if my password now is no longer wicked, maybe I make a mistake and added e at the end of the day, what kind of result should I see? That's where the else statement now comes in. So if password zero is not this, else it should print login not successful. So you just say, can you say, if this is, if password is not this, else you should print this, else you print what? It's the same thing. Okay, just give me a minute. S, you print login invalid, something like that. Yeah, login invalid. Yeah, let me just play again. You see, it's going to show login invalid. So this is going to show login invalid. So this is the basic of of if else statements. Now this is how it works. So I'm going to write another if else statement so we can move on, right? So let me write another if else statement. Now let me do a school code. Let me write a code for a school. Now score, let's talk about score. My score was 90. Shy. Sorry, not 90. I failed. So my score is 39, right? Now, if sorry, if score, I'm going to write a program that will automatically I'm going to write a program that will automatically attach comments to scores, right? Either it's excellent, very good, good, or pass. This simple programming we normally do in school. So what we now do is score is equal to 39, or any score the user is going to impute in. So if score is greater than, right? I'm not going to make it very long because it's always very long. If score is greater than or sorry or equal to 50, greater than or equal to 50, print you pass. You passed. Else, you are going to print you failed. So now it's going to print you failed because 39 is not up to, sorry, I made a mistake with this FAIL. Yeah, you're going to show you failed. So maybe one brilliant student in my class now scored 99, right? Maybe someone here is now going to show you passed, right? So these conditional statements, right? So let me know. You hope you are getting. Are you confused in this if else statement? Let me know your comment, please. Hello, is someone here?
I hear you.
Do you understood the if else statement? Someone should please respond so that we can move on, please. If you got the if else
Yes.
statement, please. Yes,
Yes, sir.
just yeah. I would really appreciate your comments or your emoji, anyone, please, so that can continue. Right now, we are done with the if else statement. There's another kind of statement called the nested condition, where we are trying to look at two or three conditions. Maybe we are saying we only admit students that are Nigerians. Okay, we only give scholarship to students that are Nigerian and they are also under the age of 18. So with that, now you're going to write two kinds of statements. Are you a Nigerian? If it's yes, or yeah, are you 18 years? If it's yes, successful. But if you're a Nigerian and you're not up to 18 years, you won't get scholarship. That one is kind of a nested condition. But we not go into that now. Let's quickly talk about loop because we don't have more time. I feel just for us that are already doing data analysis with Python, you should just go through it and learn other ones yourself. Because my major goal is to get to the library for data analysis. This one is just letting you understand how Python works, right? Because the library, they are loaded with pre-codes that if you only learn the libraries, you won't be able to use Python outside, and you don't even know the basic of any programming. Jamiu, are you saying something?
Hey, sorry.
All right, so let's continue. Let's look at why. Now, the while loop, what while loop does is that it iterates over a condition and does so many things and does that same thing rather until there's a break, right? It does one thing over a time until there's a break, right? Okay, let's take a typical example. Let me write it code so that we explain. Now, for instance, we have this kind of loop here now. If I want to write if I want to write 1 to 11, I may be so lazy to write it, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. But I can tell my program to write 1 to 11 for me in seconds. So I'll just say 4. I'll just say, okay, I've not say for I in range 1 to 100, because writing from 1 to 100 yourself is very long. So we are now saying for I can be anything, either for E, for Z, for X, or K. So now we are just saying in this particular range of 1 to 100, we are telling the system to print, we are telling, oh god, we are telling the system to print this number we wrote. That's the K. Now let's run it now. It's going to write my 1 to 100 for me. Simple. Simple. I can even give a third condition to it, where I will say it should skip after 10. So hold on, let me run it. So skips after 10. 1, 11, 21, 31, 41, 51. I can tell it to skip after 5. Those songs we sing in school, let me do 5, 10, 15 to make me one. Uh 5, 10, 15, and stuff like that, right? So the first one is the starting point, right? For the for statement. Sorry, I didn't add that for loop. The first one is the starting point. So for k in range, what's the range? The first one is 0, so we are starting from 0. We are starting from 0 to 100. Now you can decide to add this last one or not, it will still run, right? But we are saying from 0 to 100. After each count it by 5, right? So after 0 is 5, after 5 is 10, then break it at 100. So once it gets to 100, the program stops. So if we said 200, the program will keep running. If we said 300, the program will keep running. Okay, so that's just the basics of the for loop, right? We are supposed to having quizzes after each class, right? To set maybe a small quiz for you to refresh whether you pass or not, so that you will be scored. I don't know, we didn't add that earlier, so it will be strange. Maybe next year for every class we should be adding quiz to check um if we are following the class or not, right? All right, let's talk about a different kind of loop. So this loop here is for loop. I hope you got the explanation about for loop. So in the for loop, we are having a starting line, we are having the where it's going to end, and we are having how it's going to be looped, right? So 0 to 100 is looped by 5. Then let's talk about
Just can
the
I, uh, regarding the for loop, are these three parameters required to set it every time? Zero,
sorry.
100. I said regarding the for loop.
Okay, you're
Yes,
asking the purpose.
yes, the for loop, for loop. Can you hear me?
Yes.
The yeah, the three inputs number you as in the 0, 100, 5. Are they always required to run a for loop?
It's the first two that is required. The last one is optional.
Okay,
Like, okay, let me remove the last one now. So the first one is start, the last one is end. So for loop, because if you don't put an end to the for loop, it's going to be an infinite loop. That's what we call infinite loop. And infinite loops normally crashes RAM, because it's going to loop till eternity. I don't know if you understand.
okay, yes.
Because it has to have a break. On in a normal programming, there should be a break, so when it gets to this place it should stop. Or if you don't add this last parameter, that's the 100, it's still going to continue looping till there will be no memory in your RAM again. Get? But the last one is optional. I don't know if you understand now.
Okay,
All right, so let's go into while loop. Hold on, let me add this again. All right, now I won't talk about break and continue. All right, so in the while loop now, you say why this is still this, right? Do this. I will explain when I'm done writing the code. So you want to say something? All right, so let's continue. Let me say my number is one, right? My number is one. Then I cannot say why one, and that's why that my number is still greater than or equal to five. Whether my number is still greater than or equal to five, I'm going to increment because there's something we are talking about last week. There's something we talked about last week. That's the assignment of when we are talking about assignment operators. I mentioned um the equal to, that's the first assignment, that's equal to. Then I now said plus equal to, that's the additional assignment. So after each increment is going to be adding something to it, right? So this is the kind, this in this while loop, that's where we actually apply too much. So y number is plus and equal to one. Now let me explain this code here now for you. Now our number may be anything, right? Our number may be two, three, or five. Now I'm telling the program because it's looping. Remember what looping does? It does looping does something, it iterates again and again and again till there is a break. So any of these loops, for loop, while loop, break and continue, any of the loops keeps reiterating until there's a break, and you are the one that is going to add that break, right? So for while loop, we have this now normal num1 is actually equal to 1. So while this number is less than or equal to 5, this number should be incremented. So you want to write 1 to 5, for instance. Okay, let me just make it 10 here. You want to write 1 to 10. So, and it should keep writing until it gets to 10. That's once why it's still less than. I'm trying to interpret this code in English language. What I'm saying here is that why this variable, whatever that is inside this variable, is still less than or equal to 10, right? First, you have to print one. Now, this is how it does. It's I don't have a blackboard here, else I would have shown you. Now it prints one first. It now look at the condition. This is the condition. This one, this statement here, this line of code, there is the condition. It now looks at this condition again. Is it still, is it still greater than or equal to 10? No. It loops again. It now turns to 2. Is 2, sorry, is 2 greater than or equal to 10? No. It still asks again. Is 3 greater than or equal to 10? No. It still reiterates again. Is 8 greater than or equal to 10? No. It still goes again. Is 10 greater than or equal to 10? Yes. Once it gets to that break, it not print again. So what it does is that it reiterates, it keeps on reiterating. So it prints out this number first. It prints out one first, right? Once it's done, because that's the very first one. If it was 2, it will print out 2 first. So now it prints out one first, right? And looks at the condition. The condition is not matched yet. It prints it as it, because that's the duty of this plus that is here. If it's minus, it will subtract. So it adds it. Look at the condition again. No, the condition has not been met. It adds it again. Looks at the condition again. The condition has not been met. So it keeps adding till the condition is met. So let me run this while loop now for you. Hold on. Okay, so let me, sorry. My goodness, sorry, I didn't add what will be visible. My bad, I'm sorry. The code actually ran, oh god, the code actually ran successfully, but I didn't add what it should do. Right? So it's supposed to print for us. So it prints. Now we are our starting point is one, right? So it keeps reiterating and that's oh Jesus has to reiterate till the condition is met. So that's actually the job of the while loop. But you may ask, what is I'm coming, please. Let me you may ask what's the difference between um the while and for loop. So that's one of the questions you may ask because they still do the same thing, but the applications are different, right? The applications are different, and they are the major difference between so their major difference is that for the for loop, you already knows the endpoint. That's the major difference. For the for loop, you already knows the endpoint. You know that I want to print from 0 to 100. It's certain. So you tell the system, see, oh, print 0 to 100 for me. So instead of you printing it yourself 100 times, the system is printing it for you. But in the while loop, you don't know how many block of codes you want to print, right? You don't know. You just like once it's just give you the condition and it prints it for you. You don't know how many block of code you want to. So that's the difference. So in their use cases is if you know the end from the beginning, you use the for loop. But if you don't know the end from the beginning, but you have a condition on your head, you use the while loop, right? So we still have a lot to cover. We're supposed to talk about data structures, but I'm going to leave data structures for you because it has a lot. We are supposed to talk about lists, tuples, dictionaries, updating it. I talk about sets and the rest. Let's go quickly to functions because we are going to use function as I'm going to use functions in our data analysis stuff. So let's quickly talk about the function so that we'll quickly go to the business of the day. Hold on, I'm coming. Please let me set up my environment. All right. Now, what's the main use of a function? A function is a line of code that can be reused. It's as simple as that. It's code that can be reused inside a program. So you write it once and you can keep reusing it. You don't have to rewrite it again. That's just the purpose of um um sorry functions. It actually runs on the principle very simple principle of DRY, that's dry, don't repeat yourself. Right? So instead of you to write a particular kind of code every time, you just use a function like this print here now. And this print we've been using is a function, right? Print 60, for instance. This print now is a function. Now a function is always have what is called parameters and arguments, right? Now it already tells you anything that is inside. You have to put something inside this print for it to work, else it's not going to um perform any task. But for this print now, there's some code that has been inside already. Someone has written a function called print and described what the function is supposed to do, and also describe what the function is supposed to do from onset, right? Okay, so let's dive in now. let's dive in on functions. Now, let me do a simple one here. There's what is called function definition. That's the very first thing. Let me remove this line of code here. You have to define a function and it starts with the df, right? So this is a function definition defines a user defined function object, right? That we have system defined functions and user defined function. Like this print now is a system defined function because it comes with the Python programming language. But this one we are trying to define now is always a user defined function. And we always have the parameters, right? Now, you as a programmer, you should be used to documentations. Documentations help a lot for you to understand programming. Right? It says a function definition is an executable statement. Its execution binds the function name in the current local namespace. So be used to reading documentation, right? It helps a lot because there is little or nothing classes or books is going to teach in a programming. All right, so let's start now. I'm going to define the function, and you're going to what is the function name? You have to have this def now. That's definition. That was the name of the function. The name of the function is add, right? You're going to maybe want to do um an addition, a function that is going to be adding two numbers every time. You just say def add. Now we are going to put in the parameters. This is the first parameter, and this is the second parameter, right? Now we are going to now say is what is this function going to do? That's what we are going to put inside this other place. Now we are going to say this function is always going to return an addition. So it's going to return a plus b. So this is the basic way we write programs to build a simple calculator. So we are defining the function. This is just two lines of code, and this is how it works. Now we always have this df. That's the function definition, so that we can understand that this is a function code. Now we are going to the name of the function is add, and this function is always going to carry two parameters a and b. Now what this function is going to do is what is inside this place. It's always going to return a plus b, right? So if we are going to run this, and we are going to call this function now, right? And I said, let me try to call this function now. Okay, oh, my God. Let me try to put it here. All right, so this is it. Let me see who is still in the class with me. So the first thing we did was the function definition, right? We defined the function, and the name of the function is add. We now says inside this add now, this is going to take two parameters. The first parameter is a, the second parameter is b. Now, what this function is going to return the addition of a and b. So now, when I call the function here, and I call the function here, because remember the name of the function is add, and I had to call the function here, and I put in the first parameter I put in was 4, the second parameter and I put in was 6. So instead of me to say 4 plus 6 again and again, I will just say 4 and 6, and it's going to add it for me and say 10. Right now I can also call it many times. Remember the definition of function is so that you don't repeat yourself, right? So I now said let me add again 10, 100. So it's going to 4 plus 6, this plus this plus this. It's going to be doing it for me again and again and again and again. So that's the basics of function, right? That's the basics of function. Now, now let's talk about, okay, Do anyone have any question from beginning? From we've spent over 40 minutes here now. Do you have any question? Do you have any question or anyone you didn't understand? I'm trying to rush through because we don't have time again inside in this Python class. I know we spend a lot of time in Excel and SQL, but we now give a very small time to Python, which is the baba of all. It's very difficult to learn programming language, very difficult. This one said we are just preaching. In normal learning Python programming, you have to make your hands dirty. Have to do a lot of exercises. At the end, beginning at the end of each class, there should be exercises that would strengthen your brain. But we don't have the luxury of time. That's why. And apologies for that. Right. So it means you have to do a lot of work from your end. You have to help yourself. Okay. So let's talk about libraries of Pythons for data analysis now. Please, if you have any question, let me know. All right, so since there is no question, let me continue. Let it not be that I'm teaching myself or God help me. If you are still with me, can I see a thumbs up, please? If you are still here with me. All right, two people are here with me. Three, thank God. Four, I'm not alone. Glory, 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 glory. Hallelujah. All right, now God will help you guys though, because I'm bombarding a lot of knowledge here. You just sleep and forget. Now, there's one called NumPy, and it's called numerical Python. It's called numerical numerical Python, and is used for scientific computation. Now, remember as a programming language, I'm sorry, programming. Remember as a programmer or a data analyst, you are going to do a lot of scientific calculation. Or like that, but you are going to do calculations. That what makes you an analyst. I know a lot of my friends that did which course is that in school. Um, well, accounting. Almost all of them now are not doing data analysis because from onset they enjoy calculation. Yeah. So this NumPy is a programming language. Sorry, is a library that is they built on top of Python, and its major work is for scientific computation. That's its work. There is no other thing is what it was built for. In fact, from the name itself, you will even fear num numerical Python. So you just saying this particular library, the only work it does is for scientific computation. That is calculations in Python, right? Now it works with arrays. Jesus, we didn't talk about arrays too. Hey, matrices. At least we know matrices now in mathematics SS3, and talks about all these additions, subtractions, and the rest. Then why we use NumPy is so that we can be able to do calculation on large data sets, very large and the computation is very fast though. Has a lot of very fast numerical computation. Even big, no matter how big the data set was, it's going to do the computation in less than minutes or less than seconds, right? It's also for statistical computations, right? And for you to use NumPy, you have to import the library. And there is one thing I was trying to explain here, right? You have to import the library because that library was not part of it's built inside, but since nobody knows whether you are going to use Python for analysis or the rest. So what they just know is that Python is for everybody. You now use a particular library that is for yourself, right? So let me now import NumPy as I want to, because this general thing they do now. You remember we did this aliases in SQL, right? So I'm going to import NumPy as MP. You can import it as NPS, or you can import it as any nonsense jargon. But a lot of almost all and data analysts import it as NP. So we just follow them. Let's follow the crowd. This particular crowd doesn't make mistake. All right. Now let's talk about an array here now. An array is a set of number like matrices, has columns and rows, right? Has a particular columns and row, right? So now our array now, we are going to, since we don't have a data set, let's just use small data set. But when we start importing data set from next week Saturday, we are going to see those other parts played out. So NP, let's just put it inside now. We are now calling an array, right? We're not saying NP now. This is NumPy. Remember we realize it as NumPy. So NP dot array. Now we are defining an array inside NumPy here now. It's going to be a bit of jargon, but just follow suit. I know you may not understand up to this point, but just keep listening. It makes sense as time goes by. So I will explain. Now I want you to print the mean. That's the this ARR. Now this is actually a variable, right? ARR dot mean. Now let me print it. Okay. Everyone here is the data analyst, and maybe we've done media mode before. Now this is what I'm doing. The first line of, I'm trying to reiterate here, sorry for that, but the first line of code here is saying we are going to import numpy as NP. Hey, my bad. We are going to import numpy as NP. So that's what we did. That's the first thing we did. We imported numpy as NP. Now we now said this line of code here, now say this particular line of code now, we are now saying this is the data we have, just 1, 2, and 3. This one is the first number we have, this is the second, and this is the third. These are just the 3 numbers we have, right? And let's make it an array. So we are now saying, see, oh, you want the mean of these 3 numbers. And you know what mean is, right? Mean is the you have I don't know how to define easily what this mean is here, right? But we have mean, median, mode. Let me start definition with mode. Let me even ask him to tell me what is the mode here. But before I talk about the mode, I have to add another number. And that number is 3. Another number is 3. Another number is 2. Number is 2. And another number is 1. So let me run it. Let me make it a mode here now. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Yeah. Ah, give me a second since I forgot the code. Let me see. Is it emoji? Hold on. Okay, let me check that and get back to you guys. But let me just use the mean that we were using. Right. Alright. Now, how mean is calculated is the average. That's mean. Mean is the average of this number. And remember how we calculate average in school? We add all the values together, then divide it by the number of occurrence. So that's actually how we calculate mean. Mean is actually average. So maybe we have 10, we have 20, we have 20, and we have 30. So what we do is that 10 plus 20 is what? 30. 30 plus 30 is what? 60. 60 divided, what is the number of occurrences? 60 divided by 3. Because this 1, this 2, this 3, that's 20, right? So that's how we calculate mean. That's the average. 10 plus 20 is 30. Now we are talking about mathematics. Oh. 10 plus 20 is 30. 30 plus 30 is 60, right? 30 plus 30 is 60. Now, that 60 now divide by 3, because how many things are we talking about? 3. Now gives you 20. Now, let's add another number. Let's add 40, for instance. So now 10 plus 20 is 30. 30 plus 30 is 40. 40, because now the foundation of using NumPy, that's numerical Python, is for you that already have foundation in mathematics, but you want to use NumPy to make your work easier. Maybe you want to do computation on very large data set, right? So now we have 10 now, because the data set is very small. I can use my head now, even without calculator, to get the average. But what if it hundreds or millions lines of code? No, I won't be able to. I will, if I'm using calculators, it will take a very long time. So that's what the power of NumPy. That's what NumPy was built for very large data. But this one is just the fundamental. So 10 plus 10 plus 30 is 60, plus 40 is 100. 100 divided by 4, right? 100 divided by 4 is 25. 25, 50, that's one. Hmm. I've been enter mathematics class. So that's what mean does, right? So that's the basis of NumPy. We are going to talk about NumPy later. Oh. But now let's talk about another library again. Another library called Pandas. Not the other Pandas that is cartoon. No. We are going to come back to it to talk about more of it, but we may actually deal on Pandas more, because Pandas was actually built on top of NumPy. So anytime you are using NumPy, so anytime you are using Pandas, you are both using not NumPy, and you are also using Python. So all these things were built so that life will be easy. That was why it was built, so that you won't have to do plenty things again. Now, what's the remember what they are used for? NumPy is for numerical Python. Then this Pandas now, his own job is for data cleaning, data manipulation, and data exploration. That's just the job. So when you're talking about Pandas, you are doing data cleaning. If you want to clean your data set using Excel, the library you use is NumPandas. If you want to do data manipulation, maybe you want to add this particular row of data to this other one. Maybe you want to see how this data will happen if you do this, if you remove this, you add this, that data manipulation. Then maybe you want to know what is this data talking about now. This data that has housing, pricing, rating, has number of rooms. What is this data talking about? Has 3,000 of rooms. Some numbers are 0.5, some are 7. That's what is called data exploration. You are exploring your data as if you want to put rig in a farmland so that you see whether there's good oil or not. So that's what data exploration is all about. And the library you use for that one is this same Pandas. So Pandas is for data cleaning. This data is so dirty. Instead of me using Excel, let me show them that I can write lines of code in what do you, which one do you use now? In Jupyter Notebook. Let me open my Jupyter Notebook and show them that I can do data cleaning with Python. Let me not use the Excel. Excel is for small children, upcoming analysts. Let me not use that one, right? So let me use Panda. Then want to do exploration, exploratory analysis. Let me use Pandas as well, right? Beautiful. So that's what Pandas is for. And do you know why Pandas is so beautiful? Hmm. My brothers and my sisters, Pandas is very beautiful. It's very sweet to use. And do you know why? It looks like Excel. Pandas looks like Excel. And we are going to see that as well, right? Because it works with what is called a DF. That's the data frame. It works. Let me. It works with data frame. That's df. So what data frame is? The data frame is rows and columns. So it works with rows and columns. So anytime you are using Pandas, you have the feeling of Excel. You can even do pivoting. I hope you guys learn pivoting in Excel, where we talk about pivot tables. one of the most powerful tools in Excel. So we can also use Pandas for pivoting as well. And we can use Python to, sorry, we can, when we are talking about data analysis, we have to import the data, right? So we also use Pandas for data loading, that's data importation, whether it's Excel file, CSV file, whether it's SQL file, and the rest. We use Pandas for it. Then we use the Pandas. That's just everything we use. We use it for a lot of things: time series analysis, grouping, summary. In fact, when you talk about data analysis with Python, is Pandas. That's the major thing that you will know. Then lastly, okay, but before you use Pandas, you have to always import it. So you import Pandas as PD. Remember, we imported NumPy as MP. You import Pandas as PD. Right. Now, lastly, let's talk about, oh, not lastly, let's talk about another one again, another library. Right? Let's take note of those libraries. So maybe we can start with Pandas next week. Another library is what is called Matplotlib, Matplotlib, Matplotlib. Yeah, and Matplotlib is actually the the visualization of in Python. So when we are doing data analysis, if you say maybe you wrote a line of code that should filter out, or that should do something, look at grading, maybe first, second, third, fourth, fifth in a class based on their total product. Yeah, it's not always beautiful, it's always very difficult. But when you talk about data visualization, you now start plotting graphs, plotting, doing bar plot, pie charts, all those kinds, scatter plot, line graphs, the rest. You realize that programming becomes sweet, because in that start, your analysis starts becoming beautiful. You can easily detect who made the greatest sale, or the highest sale in a sales company, or who is being paid the most by the HR department, right? Or which company admitted staffs, or what, or whatever, any kind of analysis address. It's very easy to determine those stuffs, right? And if it's a time series analysis, which year was COVID-19 the highest, or which year did we have the highest death rate, or which year did people leave a particular religion, or the rest. So that's the importance of plotting graphs. And even from the name itself, Matplotlib. So it's a plotting library. So easy to plot static charts and visualizations in Python. So we can generate various wise or arrays of plot. Can line plot, you can generate bar plot, histogram, scatter plot, pie chart, box plot, and even 3D plot. Now, if you completed your SQL class, right? If you completed your SQL track, there's one particular course that I found very interesting. Though you didn't code though, but they talked basically about visualization. Am I right or right? Yeah, they talked about visualizations. They talked about when to use the bar chart, when to use the pie chart, when to use an histogram, when to use the scatter plot. Now we are not going to talk about it alone. We are also going to apply it. So that is the use case of Matplotlib. And one thing you also need to know is that Matplotlib is built on top of NumPy. Wow. All these things, they are built on top of NumPy. Oh. That's why we said the very first one is that Panda. Mm. Every other one is built on it too. It's like they are oga. So now let's talk about another. Okay, let me write something here now. So if you want to import Matplotlib, we import it this way. I'm just going to talk about the various libraries before we start discussing it one after the other. Matplotlib, see, okay, is even showing me .pyplots. The name is very long, but this is the longest library name I've ever typed in since I started programming. Uh-huh. Matplotlib.pyplot. So we are going to always alias it as PLT. Please always alias it as PLT because this particular one, if you follow the crowd, you don't make mistake. You can always alias it as anything you like, but I beg just use PLT. And let me just run a simple one. Let me just do one small game here now. PLT.plot, right? Let me put out two arrays of numbers, 1 2 3. My two is disturbing. Now this is the first array, this is the second array. 10 25. Let me just put 15, right? Then let me just show you this plt now. Plt.show. The reason why I didn't do anything under pandas is because we have to import a data set. So that's why I didn't do anything about this plt. Mhm. You show coming. Hold on, let me run again. Oh, I wrote it twice. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is how it is. If you plot different kinds of graph, it looks as if you can even add colors. We are going to talk about that one. Add different colors. This line should be this. Remove, like, it's so beautiful to use, right? So let's talk about the last one. Not the last one. Oh, hey, God help me. Let's talk about Seaborn. Seaborn. The name should not scare you, okay? Um, my apologies. I'm so sorry for what happened. My network just disappeared. So you know, how Nigeria, in Nigeria we are now. It wasn't my plan for what just happened. My apologies, please. I'm really sorry. Hope you guys are forgiving me. Okay, let's continue the class. Someone should forgive me now. Yeah, my apologies, please. Okay. So we've been talking about. Thank you so much, Jeremiah, for forgiving me. Thank you, Victor. All right, so let's continue. I was talking about Seaborn as the next, and this thing did not auto save. Hey, can you imagine? All right, so let me still write that Seaborn. So we are talking about Seaborn, and I was saying that Seaborn is the advanced visualization tool for data visualization using Python, and Seaborn is actually built on top of Matplotlib. And if you are using one, you see when we start using this library, you see it's very easy to use, though, very very easy, like very simple. I'm sincere, very easy to use. And once you know NumPy, you know Pandas. Using Matplotlib is not hard. If you know Matplotlib, using Seaborn is not so hard because they are built on each other, right? So if you want to import Seaborn, you just import it as import Seaborn as SNS. That's how we normally import Seaborn. Then there are other libraries as well. There's one we call Plotly. Now, Seaborn, all these ones are static. They are static plots, right? They are static graphs. But graphs like Seaborn, for instance, graphs like Plotly, if you hover on it like this, is interactive. In fact, there's a particular either Plotly library where the graphs, you can actually download the graphs, right? You can even build a dashboard with it. So we have different other types of data visualization tools, and don't be scared with their numbers. They were actually built to make your life easy. So they were actually built to make your life easy. It's very simple to use them. Then there's another one. Oh, okay, let me figure out. There's another one called scikit-learn. There's another library called scikit-learn. Now, when we are talking about or maybe we want to move into um you want to move into data science and the rest, talk about scikit-learn, talk about other for hypotheses and stuff like that. But we may not get into that part. We just use Pandas. We're going to use NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, and Seaborn. So we are just going to use those four. So maybe next year, if you still reapply, you can join data science class. So in data science, we would teach you for other Python libraries for heavier data visualization and data analysis. Right. So these are the various kinds of data libraries for what do we call it, for Python. Right. Let me see if we can still, because there's still time. We have still have 30 more minutes. Let's make our hands dirty. Let's make our hands dirty for now. Let's try to make our hands dirty. Let me try to work. Let's make our hands dirty. Um, Hold on. I'm trying to see if I will be able to pull in it there. Right. Hold on, just give me. Let me look for a there source here. I'm coming, please. Let me try to look for whether I'll see anyone. Hold on. I'm here, man. Do I have? Hold on. Let me look at. Let me use this one. Let me see. Let me try to upload the data set so that we can talk about these pandas over again. Vision for no conflict. Well, these assets are very heavy now. It's okay. Please, who has the attendance should just share it with you guys. So you guys can take your attendance. So let's leave it to please. Okay, it's not active. Alright. So let's start now. Let me import NumPy as NP. Now let me import Pandas as speed trading. Let me just import those two for now. Let me start. Let me just let me read the data set. Let me see whether it's going to read before I start explaining this line of code down. So right. So Oh God. Okay. Amazon does share. That's the file we just imported. So let me just try to run it. Also, what's going on with this data lab? God. Okay, made a mistake here. NumPy. No such files or directory as Amazon. This is not for SQL, man. Hold on, please. You guys should just pardon me, please. I'm trying to. I never knew. Right, so let me try to rerun it again. I always find it very difficult to. Always find it very difficult to always upload this stuff here. PD the original discussion. I don't know. Hold on, I'll try to use an alternative now. position first. Possibly, but I didn't get it. That's the part, of course. My goodness. Hold on, please. So Or is this not what I was doing since? All right. Sorry for that break. This is the same code I've been writing in the previous workbook. I had to create a new workbook for this. And this was exactly what I was writing since. I don't know why it was still throwing out errors since. So I just can't explain, right? Okay, so let's continue the next 5 minutes so that we can call it a wrap. Okay. Now, for pandas, we are now into data analysis with Python now, and the library we are going to use now is the Pandas library. Right now, the very first thing you have to do is we have to import we have to import the CSV file, either the Excel file or the CSV file we want to analyze. Right now, how do we import the CSV file? How do we import? We use this read CSV underscore, right? Sorry, PD, that's the pandas now. We are calling pandas. PD dot read underscore CSV. We have PD dot read underscore Excel, PD dot read underscore TSV if it's actually a text file. So for any of those files, there is actually a PD dot read for it. So that was what we just did here now. Can someone in the call still hear me, please? If you can still hear me, can you give me a thumbs up? Okay. So basically, what we did here was that we tried to read the CSV file into pandas. Now, when we are done reading it, the result now should be Let's just sign in our attendance and let's just call it a day. My network is very bad. So let's just sign in our attendance and call it a day, okay? You can share the attendance with your colleagues that were in class. Just copy it and share it to those that were in class. Maybe next week we deep dive into pandas. By then my network should be very strong. Sorry about everything that just happened, okay? Just sign in, copy it and share it with your colleagues that was in class, please. Thank you. We'll continue next week. Yeah, yeah, sorry, I was in a call when we I was in a meeting when we are calling and it was affecting my network. That was why I was busy in the call. Yes, good evening, ma'am. We thank God, thank God. It's it is a sub. Mm, sorry. Oh God. It's where. Mhm. Now I was home all through. Is this night that I joined the class? Network no alarm. I have a class, so it was 2 hours, 6 to 8. No, no, I'm not go work on Saturday. No, nah, I know they go up on Saturday since because of school. So even when school no dey, so I no consider.